Madoka Amano. Bay mechanic we all know and love.
Most of the characters from the Mouse Saga were just annoying, like Bankei, Madoka.
Well, at least most of us. We all know Madoka was a great mechanic, but what about her blading skills? Well, today, we put them to the test. Not much is known about Madoka's blading ability other than her 2 recorded battles. A win against Mercy and a loss in the Battle Royale leaves her with a 50% win percentage. Despite her record, the Mercy battle was merely digital, and the loss in the Battle Royale was solely to save Leon, which begs the question, how good of a blader really was Madoka Amano? And there's only one way we can answer that question. Yep, you guessed it, the Beyblade PSP game. We start off by heading to the garage where we will make Madoka's Bay. According to the wiki, Madoka's Bay is a Mad Gasher 145F, also known as Dark Gasher 145F. I went with the pink Gasher energy ring and face bolt to match Madoka's colors. According to the wiki, while the Bay has a Mad Gasher energy ring, it has a Northern Cross face bolt, so I used the metal face bolt in place of that. While I'm assembling the Bay in the background, here's a fun fact. While Madoka was only active in 2 battles, she's a playable character in the Metal Masters DS game. I was all done with the customization and now it's time to select an opponent. For the opponent, I decided to select somebody who was low tier and easy to beat just to see how she would face up against them. I decided on the oldest Kumari brother Kumasuke because he technically has 0 wins. I put the CPU on the hardest difficulty and made the battles a best of 3 to ensure that victory is not a fluke. Our first battle had finally begun. We both began the match with perfect launches. I didn't have any expectations for this Bay except for it to be fast because of its flat performance tip. Despite both of us going for an attacking approach, I ran out of stamina way quicker. And this is when I realized I had a problem. With the obvious difference in stamina, I decided to use my quick ability to try to knock Orso out of the stadium. Unfortunately, this tactic didn't work and I was coming closer and closer to my first loss. At this point in the battle, in a desperate attempt to knock Orso out of the stadium again, I used my second ability, which is Smash, to no avail. My overestimation of Madoka's Bay led me to my first loss. I had come to terms that the Bay had weak attack, defense, and stamina, but in my mind I decided that if I had a better launch to Kumasuke, then I would win the round. Unfortunately, we both had perfect launches. For the most part, the battle was pretty one-sided. The only excitement came towards the end of the battle when Orso had double my health and I decided to use special move in a desperate attempt to drain his. Despite the perfect execution, Kumasuke used Keep Spin along with healing to keep his stamina bar in place. This ultimately led to another loss. I contemplated ending the video right then and there, but I decided one battle wasn't enough. Since I had just lost to the lowest tier blader, I decided to test my luck and battle the highest tier blader. And what higher tier is there than Ryugen himself? We both started the battle with perfect launches and my expectations for this battle were already low. I had slightly more stamina than Ryugen and I wanted to take full advantage of that. To my surprise, I was narrowly able to complete this counter and beat the Dragon Emperor at his own game. After the early first round victory, my blader spirit, expectation, and confidence were all high. And they only increased after Ryuga failed to get a perfect launch. After a pretty much one-sided battle, Ryuga decided to use his reverse move, which it didn't work at all. Ryuga once again failed to execute his reverse move and the game was wrapped from there. The imperfect launch and failed reverses were all ingredients in my recipe to this victory against Ryuga. I had just lost to debatably the lowest tier blader in the game and beat the highest. For my next battle, I needed somebody who was stronger than Kumosuke but weaker than Ryuga. Thus we have Kiyoya. Kiyoya and I both gained perfect launches in the first round. I decided to take a stamina approach which worked fairly well until I self-stated him out. In the second round, we both earned perfect launches. The battle was pretty even until I unleashed my special move. The 6 crab shake tremendously drained Leon's health and I ended up with the victory. We both started the second round with perfect launches. Kiyoya had a slight stamina advantage and used his smash ability, which only furthered that advantage. Realizing Kiyoya's stamina advantage, I used my quick move to try to knock him out of the stadium, the same tactic I used against Orso that didn't work. Kiyoya once again used his smash ability in response to this. I was too slow to use my quick ability and Kiyoya had already used his stay ability, which kept a defensive stance. I had beat the strongest blader in the game but lost to the weakest, and also Kiyoya. But I realized that both Kiyoya and Kumosuke were defensive type, so I decided to get somebody a tier lower than Kiyoya but a tier higher than Kumosuke and a different type. I ultimately ended up deciding on Kenta since he is stronger than Kumosuke but weaker than Kiyoya and a stamina type. I also changed my character to Tetsuyu just to have the special move cutscene. I set the difficulty to the hardest difficulty but accidentally made it a 3-point match this time. Kenta failed to match my perfect launch in the first round. Despite being the stamina type, Kenta's poor launch led to a quick defeat. However, he matched my perfect launch in the second round. I knew victory would be hard to get because his stamina was stronger than mine. The battle started off one-sided and Kenta used his chain guard move, which only added fuel to the fire. I had my special move charged, but I understood that the possibility of me winning after using it was low, so I kept it for the next round. We both started this round with perfect launches, and I knew that it would be close. Fortunately, I had a little bit more stamina. Despite us both having our special moves in the chamber, I held mine back for the right moment. Kenta, however, used his immediately. In this game, when two special moves collide, they cancel out. In an attempt to cancel out the special move, I used mine right before he used his, but unfortunately he had already made contact. We had both activated our special moves and I once again had more stamina than Kenta, and I knew victory now was only a matter of staying inside the stadium. I now stood at 2 wins and 2 losses and needed a final opponent to prove my worth. Thus we have Jinga. I made sure it was on the hardest difficulty, but since this was the final battle, I made it first to 3 points. We both started the first round with perfect launches. Falling behind on stamina, Jinga used his lock-on technique along with attack to try to knock me out of the stadium. Fortunately, this didn't work and Jinga ended up losing the first round. In the second round, Jinga failed to get a perfect launch and I ended up with a quick victory on the stadium out. Jinga used his lock-on move in an attempt to knock me out of the stadium. In response, I used my special move. The battle was pretty much over after Jinga once again failed to execute his lock-on move. The battle was won. I lost to Kumasaki and Kiyarga but beat Jinga, Ryuga, and Kenta. In the end, I think Madoka's overall weakness is defensive type base. Thus the question, how good of a blader was Madoka, has been answered.